I never imagined my own family would betray me like this, yet here I stand in the back of this suffocating courtroom, watching my father's face contort with rage as Mr. Jenkins reads grandfather's will. The mahogany-paneled walls seem to close in with each word, and the musty air grows thicker with tension. My cousin Sophie catches my eye from across the room, then quickly looks away. The Carter family ancestral home, including all contents and surrounding property, is hereby bequeathed to my granddaughter, Emma Carter. My heart pounds against my ribs. The room erupts in harsh whispers, a storm of disbelief and anger. Dad's neck flushes crimson as he whips around to glare at me. Uncle Jason grips his shoulder, but his own face betrays the same shock. This can't be right. Dad's voice cuts through the chaos. There must be some mistake. Mr. Jenkins adjusts his wire-rimmed glasses, unfazed. The will is quite clear, Mr. Carter. Your father was explicit in his wishes. I grip the back of the wooden bench, steadying myself. The room spins with fragments of memories, last summer's heated argument filtering through the study door as I stood frozen in the hallway. Grandfather's voice, usually so gentle, sharp with anger. I know what you're doing with the company, Robert. Did you think I wouldn't figure it out? Dad's response had been cold, calculated. You're an old man living in the past. Business isn't done your way anymore. Money laundering isn't business, Grandfather had shot back. It's criminal. The memory shifts to 3 months ago, just weeks before Grandfather's death. I'd found him in his study, surrounded by stacks of papers, his face gray with exhaustion. When I'd asked if he was okay, he'd gripped my hand with surprising strength. Promise me you'll protect it, Emma. The house, the legacy, all of it. Don't let them destroy everything I've built. I hadn't understood then. I do now. Emma. Dad's voice yanks me back to the present as he strides toward me, his expensive shoes clicking against the hardwood floor. We need to discuss this immediately. There's nothing to discuss. My voice comes out stronger than I feel. Grandfather made his choice. You don't understand what's at stake here. His words carry a threat beneath their surface. Uncle Jason hovers behind him, conflict etched in the lines around his eyes. The house needs to be sold. The market is perfect right now, and I have buyers lined up. Another memory flashes. Dad's construction company office late one night last month, voices carrying through the thin walls as I'd waited to drop off some paperwork. A man I didn't know speaking in urgent tones. The feds are starting to ask questions, Robert. We need that money cleaned, and we need it fast. My stomach churns. You mean your money laundering operation needs the cash? The words escape before I can stop them, quiet enough that only he and Uncle Jason can hear. Dad's face pales. Watch your mouth, he hisses. You have no idea what you're talking about. But I do. I've seen the signs for months. The mysterious meetings, the shell companies, the way money disappears and reappears through his construction projects. Grandfather saw it too. That's why he did this. The house isn't for sale. I straighten my spine, meeting his gaze. Not now, not ever. You ungrateful little... Dad lunges forward, but Uncle Jason pulls him back. Robert not here, Jason mutters, his eyes darting around the crowded courtroom. I step backward, my heel catching on the carpet. The other relatives watch with barely concealed interest, vultures waiting to see who'll draw blood first. The weight of their stares presses down on my shoulders. Miss Carter. Mr. Jenkins's voice cuts through the tension. There's one more stipulation. The property cannot be sold without your explicit written consent. Your grandfather was quite insistent on this point. Dad's jaw clenches so tight I can see the muscle jump. This isn't over, he growls, turning on his heel. Uncle Jason follows, but not before giving me one last look. Is it warning or sympathy in his eyes? I remain rooted to the spot as the room slowly empties, my mind racing. The house, grandfather's sanctuary, our family's legacy, he left it to me. Not to Dad, not to Uncle Jason, but to me. The responsibility settles heavy in my chest. As I gather my things, my hands trembling slightly, a question burns in my mind. How far will they go to seize what isn't theirs? The answer terrifies me, but I won't back down. Grandfather trusted me with this for a reason. Looking at the will in my hands, I know this is just the beginning. They won't stop until they get what they want, or until I stop them. And right now, I'm the only thing standing between them and everything Grandfather tried to protect. Tell me what you see. I lean forward in Olivia's office chair, my heart thundering as she examines the documents spread across her mahogany desk. The afternoon sun streams through floor-to-ceiling windows, catching dust motes that dance around us like tiny conspirators. Olivia adjusts her wire-rimmed glasses and holds the sale agreement under a digital scanner, her dark eyes narrowing. The pressure points are inconsistent. She taps the screen, zooming in on my supposed signature. See how the lines waver here? And here? She traces the air above 2 spots where the ink seems to hesitate. Your authentic signatures are more fluid. My stomach clenches as I compare the forged document to my driver's license signature. The forgery is good too good. Someone spent serious money to make this happen. Dad's getting desperate. Desperate enough to commit fraud. Olivia's fingers fly across her keyboard, pulling up a digital analysis. Red markers highlight the discrepancies, damning evidence appearing in stark relief. This won't hold up in court. The house is still yours, Emma. Your grandfather made sure of that. A memory surfaces. Grandfather in his study, gripping my hand that last time. Promise me you'll protect it. Asterisk he knew. He must have known Dad would try something like this. Miss Martinez? Olivia's assistant appears in the doorway. Your 3 o'clock is here. Give me 5 minutes. Olivia gathers the documents into a folder, her movements precise and controlled. Emma, we have what we need to fight this. But you should know men like your father when they're backed into a corner. She lets the warning hang in the air. I nod, gathering my purse. I know. Thank you, Olivia. The cafe is nearly empty when I meet Sophie an hour later. She's chosen a corner table, far from the few other patrons. Her hands wrap around an untouched latte, knuckles white with tension. I got your text. She glances over her shoulder before continuing. About the forged documents? Dad's trying to force through a sale. I slide into the seat across from her, keeping my voice low. But that's not why I asked you here. I need to know what else you've seen, Sophie. What else you've heard. Color drains from her face. I shouldn't. Please. I reach across the table, stopping short of touching her trembling hands. You're the only one inside the company who might help me. I know you've noticed things. Sophie's eyes dart to the door again before she pulls out her phone. 2 weeks ago, I was working late. That Uncle Roberthy didn't know I was still there. I recorded this. She slides the phone across the table, an email displayed on the screen. My breath catches as I read. The message is coded, but clear enough. Timeline accelerated. Buyers expect clean transfer by end of month. Jay has arrangements in place for secondary processing asterisk. I is Uncle Jason. Sophie nods. There's more. Check the attachment. I open it, and my heart nearly stops. Account numbers. Shell companies. A complex web of transactions, all flowing through Dad's construction projects. The scale of it staggers me. Delete it, I whisper, pushing the phone back. Right now, and Sophie. I meet her eyes. Be careful. Don't let them know you've seen this. She nods, fingers shaking as she erases the evidence. What are you going to do? I think of the house, of Grandfather's study filled with papers I haven't had time to go through, of his last desperate warning. There's something in the house, I say slowly, pieces clicking into place. Something he left for me to find. That's why Dad's pushing so hard to sell it now. Emma. Sophie's voice drops even lower. I got an email yesterday, anonymous. It said there's proof in the house, hidden somewhere. She swallows hard. Proof of everything. My mind races. Grandfather was meticulous, always 3 steps ahead. He wouldn't have left me defenseless against this. The house itself must hold the key evidence that could stop Dad's operation cold. I stand, my chair scraping against the floor. I have to go. Be careful, Sophie calls after me, fear threading through her words. Uncle Robert, he's not just desperate. He's dangerous. The drive home is a blur of strategy and memory. As darkness falls, I park in the garage and slip into the house through the kitchen door. The study waits upstairs, shadowy and still. Somewhere in this room, Grandfather left his final weapon against betrayal. I just have to find it. On a dusty shelf, his laptop sits untouched since his death. My hands tremble as I lift it, power it on. Sophie's warning echoes in my head. Asterisk. He's dangerous. Asterisk. But so is the truth in somewhere in this house. That truth is waiting to be found. The anonymous email Sophie forwarded glows on the screen. I read it again, slower this time, parsing each cryptic line. Check the heart carved in the garden wall. Count 3 stones up, 2 across. The drawer that never opened he kept the key behind the loose brick. Asterisk. My pulse quickens. The carved heart, I remember it from childhood. Initials etched by some long ago Carter. And Grandfather's study drawer, the one he'd always kept locked. I'd assumed he'd taken its secrets to his grave. I grab a notepad, transcribing the message with trembling fingers. Each detail seems deliberately placed, a breadcrumb trail Grandfather designed for me to follow. The carved heart would lead to the key, and the key. A floorboard creaks somewhere in the house. I freeze, finger hovering over the print button. The sound came from downstairs, too heavy to be settling wood. Someone else is here. Quickly, I hit print and close the laptop. The printer whirs to life, too loud in the silence. I snatch the paper, fold it, and slip it into my pocket. Another creak, closer now. Footsteps on the stairs. My heart hammers against my ribs as I edge toward the study door. One question burns in my mind, urgent and terrifying. What evidence did grandfather hide that's worth breaking in to find? The footsteps reach the landing. I kill the desk lamp and press myself against the wall, praying the darkness is enough to hide me. Tomorrow I'll follow grandfather's trail of clues. But first, I have to survive tonight. The warehouse stench of mildew and rust fills my lungs as I crouch behind a stack of rotting wooden crates. Olivia and Sophie huddle beside me in the darkness, our breathing shallow and controlled. Through a gap in the crates, a slice of fluorescent light illuminates Dad's face as he paces the concrete floor 20 feet away. Even from here, I can see the sheen of sweat on his forehead. "Time's running out," he snaps at the shadows gathered around him. "The feds are breathing down our necks, and that little brat," the word twists like a knife in my chest, "is refusing to cooperate." A gravelly voice responds from the darkness. "You assured us this would be handled cleanly, Robert." The speaker steps into the light. Vincent Delgado, his expensive suit, a stark contrast to the decay surrounding us. Instead, we've got whispers of an investigation and a paper trail a mile long. My hand tightens around the small recording device in my pocket. Olivia touches my arm, a silent reminder to stay still. "I can fix this," Dad insists, but there's a tremor in his voice I've never heard before. "The house sale will cover everything once it's done." "And how exactly do you plan to make that happen?" Vincent's words drip with menace. "Your daughter holds the keys now, doesn't she?" A muscle twitches in Dad's jaw. "Leave Emma to me. I've got the documents ready. With or without her cooperation, that sale is happening within 48 hours. Sophie stiffens beside me. I don't need to see her face to know what she's thinking. The same thing I am. Forged papers. He's planning to fake my consent. The meeting continues, voices growing more heated as they discuss shell companies and offshore accounts. Each word is another nail in the coffin of the man I thought my father was. Olivia's surveillance equipment captures it all, but the real evidence is branded into my memory. The casual way they discuss fraud, the calculated plans to steal what's rightfully mine. Later, in our makeshift command center, an abandoned office space 3 blocks away, Olivia sorts through the intercepted communications while Sophie paces nervously behind her desk. "He's moving faster than we thought," Olivia says, fingers flying over her keyboard. "Look at these timestamps. The sale documents are already being processed." I lean over her shoulder, scanning the decoded messages. "How long do we have?" "Hours, maybe." She points to a string of encrypted text. "They've got a buyer lined up for tomorrow morning once those papers are filed?" "We can't let that happen." My voice is steel, surprising even me. Grandfather trusted me to protect this legacy. I won't let them destroy everything he built. Sophie stops pacing. "Emma, maybe we should talk to Uncle Robert first. Try to reason with him." The memory of his face in the warehouse, cold, calculating, already planning to forge my signature, hardens my resolve. He's had his chance to do the right thing. Now it's time for a different approach. 20 minutes later, I stand in grandfather's study, the weight of generations pressing down through the darkness. The house creaks around me, familiar sounds that used to bring comfort. Now they feel like warnings. The door opens. Dad's silhouette fills the frame, his shoulders tight with barely contained rage. "You wanted to see me?" His voice is carefully controlled, but I can hear the storm brewing underneath. "Yes." I move to grandfather's desk, place my hands on its worn surface. "We need to talk about the forged documents you're planning to file tomorrow morning." The silence stretches between us, thick with decades of lies. Through the study window, storm clouds gather on the horizon, echoing the darkness in my father's eyes. "You have no idea what you're talking about." But there's a flicker of something in his expression. Fear, maybe. Or recognition that his carefully constructed world is beginning to crumble. "Don't I?" I reach into my pocket, withdraw the recording device. "Would you like to hear what Vincent Delgado had to say about it?" All color drains from his face. Behind him, Uncle Jason appears in the doorway, his expression caught between loyalty and dawning horror as the truth of our family's corruption finally comes into focus. "You stupid girl." Dad's voice trembles with fury. "Do you have any idea what you've done? The people you're dealing with are criminals?" The word rings through the study. Like you? He lunges forward, hands slamming onto the desk between us. Everything I've done has been for this family. Number. The certainty in my voice stops him cold. Everything you've done has been for yourself. The money laundering, the fraud. You're destroying everything grandfather built. Uncle Jason steps forward, his face ashen. Robert, maybe we should. Stay out of this. Dad whirls on him. Unless you want them looking into your involvement too. The threat hangs in the air, but something has shifted in Uncle Jason's eyes. I see the moment his loyalty fractures, splintering under the weight of too many lies. After they leave, Dad's threats still echoing off the wood-paneled walls, I sink into grandfather's chair, exhausted. Sophie and Olivia hover nearby, their presence a silent comfort as I process what just happened. But something catches my eye, a slight irregularity in the bookshelf behind the desk. Standing, I run my fingers along the spine of the old leather-bound books. There, a gap, almost invisible unless you're looking for it. My heart pounds as I carefully remove the loose panel. Inside the hidden compartment, a weathered journal rests atop a stack of documents. My hands shake as I lift it out, recognizing grandfather's precise handwriting. The first page reads like a confession, a record of everything he discovered about Dad's illegal operations. Emma? Sophie's voice is barely a whisper. What is it? I clutch the journal to my chest, mind racing with the possibilities this evidence represents. It's exactly what we need, my voice catches. Grandfather knew. He knew everything, and he left us the proof to stop them. The study falls silent except for the distant rumble of thunder. In my hands, the weight of the journal feels like both a burden and a weapon. The question isn't just what secrets these pages contain, it's how far I'm willing to go to use them. The crystal chandeliers of the Riverside Conference Hall cast dancing shadows across the faces of Metro City's elite. I adjust my grip on grandfather's leather-bound journal, its presence in my clutch bag both a comfort and a weapon. Across the room, Olivia Martinez catches my eye and gives an almost imperceptible nod. Everything is in place. Ladies and gentlemen, Dad's voice carries across the crowded hall, smooth as aged whiskey. It gives me great pleasure to announce the sale of the historic Carter estate to distinguished developer Ethan Reynolds. My heart pounds against my ribs as Reynolds steps forward, his custom Italian suit and perfectly coiffed silver hair screaming old money. But I know better. 3 days of digging through grandfather's records revealed the truth about Reynolds' empire of shell companies and laundered funds. The Carter estate has been in our family for generations, Dad continues, his rehearsed speech dripping with false sentiment. While change is never easy, neither is fraud. My voice cuts through the murmuring crowd like a blade. Every head turns as I step forward, grandfather's journal clutched in my trembling hands. Or money laundering, for that matter. Dad's practiced smile falters for just a fraction of a second. Emma, sweetheart, this isn't the time or place for... Actually, it's exactly the time. I open the journal to a marked page, my voice steadier than my racing pulse. Would you like me to read what grandfather wrote about your creative accounting practices? Or should we skip straight to the forged documents you used to try and circumvent his will? The crowd's whispers grow louder. Reynolds takes a step back from Dad, his carefully maintained facade cracking. From her corner, Olivia pulls out her phone, no doubt alerting our contacts in law enforcement. You ungrateful little... Dad starts forward, but freezes as Sophie emerges from the crowd, a USB drive held high. The encrypted emails are all here, Sophie announces, her voice shaking but determined. Every transaction, every shell company, every penny laundered through the construction projects. The room erupts in chaos. I catch fragments of shocked conversations, Carter construction, federal investigation. All this time. Dad's neck flushes crimson as his criminal associates begin to edge away, distancing themselves from the impending fallout. Uncle Jason hovers uncertainly at the edge of the crowd, conflict etched in every line of his face. You have no idea what you're doing, Dad snarls, closing the distance between us. The people I'm involved with are currently being investigated by the FBI. I cut in, keeping my voice low. Did you really think grandfather wouldn't leave evidence? That he wouldn't protect his legacy? A phone rings, cutting through the tension. Olivia answers, her face lighting up with grim satisfaction. Detective Hayes, she says, loud enough for those nearby to hear. Yes, we're all still here at Riverside Conference Hall. You're 5 minutes out? Perfect. The color drains from Dad's face. He looks around wildly, but his allies have already begun to scatter. Reynolds is nowhere to be seen. Even Uncle Jason has disappeared into the crowd. I grip the journal tighter, feeling the weight of Grandfather's trust, of his faith in me. The tide of power has turned just as he planned, just as I promised him it would. "It's over, Dad," I say softly, watching his empire crumble in real time. "Grandfather knew what you were doing with the company. He made sure I would have everything I needed to stop you." Across the room, I catch glimpses of dark suits and badges as law enforcement begins to filter in through the side entrances. Dad sees them too. His face contorts with a mixture of rage and fear that makes him look like a stranger. "This isn't over," he growls, but the threat in his voice rings hollow now. I think of the house, Grandfather's sanctuary, our family's true legacy. Not a fortress for laundered money or a pawn in Dad's schemes, but a home built on integrity and trust. Everything Grandfather fought to protect, everything he entrusted to me. "You're right," I say, standing my ground as Detective Hayes approaches. "For you, it's just beginning." The courtroom buzzes with whispers as Dad strides toward the podium, his Armani suit a sharp contrast to his unraveling composure. Camera flashes punctuate the tension like lightning before a storm. I grip the edge of the wooden table, steadying myself as his words slice through the air. "My daughter is young, naive." His voice carries that familiar patronizing tone that used to make me shrink into myself. Not anymore. She doesn't understand the complexities of business, of family legacy. If she continues down this path making these wild accusations, he turns to face me directly, eyes glinting with barely contained rage. There will be consequences that can't be undone. The threat hangs heavy in the air. A reporter's pen scratches against paper somewhere behind me. I catch Sophie's eye across the room. She gives me the slightest nod, and something in my chest steadies. "I have evidence," Dad continues, "of certain indiscretions that would be devastating if made public. Emma, please." His voice softens, dripping with false concern. "Don't force my hand." Olivia Martinez, my attorney, shifts beside me. We've prepared for this moment, anticipated every move. The weight of Grandfather's journal presses against my side where it's tucked into my briefcase, along with the stack of financial records that will shatter Dad's carefully constructed facade. I stand, and the room falls silent. "You're right about one thing," I say, my voice carrying clear and strong. "I am your daughter, which means I learned from the best about keeping receipts." Olivia steps forward, nodding to the court clerk. The projector hums to life, and the first document appears on the screen, a detailed spreadsheet tracking money movements through shell companies, each transaction highlighted in damning red. This is a record of funds flowing through Carter Construction's subsidiary accounts. Olivia explains, her professional tone masking the bombshell she's dropping. "Note the pattern of deposits and withdrawals, each carefully structured to avoid detection." Dad's face drains of color. Uncle Jason, seated in the front row, leans forward with widening eyes. "But that's just the beginning," I continue, pulling out Grandfather's leather-bound journal. "This contains detailed observations of every suspicious transaction, every late-night meeting, every shell company created over the past 5 years. Grandfather didn't just suspect what you were doing, Dad. He knew. He documented everything." The journal trembles slightly in my hands, not from fear, but from the surge of adrenaline coursing through me. Dad takes a step forward, his composed mask cracking. "You're making a mistake," he hisses, low enough that only those closest can hear. "Everything I did was to protect this family's future." "Number," I meet his gaze. "Everything you did was to protect yourself." Olivia advances to the next slide. Copies of forged documents bearing my supposed signature, authorizing the sale of the house. The evidence we've gathered laid bare for all to see. Gasps ripple through the courtroom as she methodically explains each piece. The forensic analysis proving the forgery, the intercepted emails discussing the scheme, the network of offshore accounts waiting to receive laundered funds. Dad's criminal partners shift uncomfortably in their seats. I recognize some of them from those suspicious meetings at the construction office. Men in expensive suits who now look like they're calculating their fastest escape routes. "Miss Carter," Judge Reynolds' voice cuts through the tension. "These are serious allegations. Mr. Carter, do you wish to respond to this evidence?" Dad's jaw clenches so tight I can see the muscle jump. The same tell he had that day in the study with Grandfather. His silence speaks volumes. "Your Honor," Olivia continues, "we have Detective Marcus Hayes of the Financial Crimes Unit present and prepared to testify about the ongoing investigation into these matters." Something snaps in Dad's eyes. He spins toward Uncle Jason, who's already half rising from his seat. "You told them," he snarls. "You spineless." "Order!" Judge Reynolds' gavel crashes down. But it's too late. The carefully maintained veneer of the respected business leader crumbles as Dad lunges toward his brother. Courthouse security moves in swiftly, and I watch my father, the man I once admired, once feared, being restrained as Detective Hayes approaches with handcuffs at the ready. The cameras flash faster now, capturing every moment of his undoing. I remain standing, my heart pounding, but my voice steady as I speak one final time. The house stays in the family, Dad. Just not your version of it. Uncle Jason rises slowly from his seat, his face ashen. The entire courtroom holds its breath as he makes his way to the center of the room. His hands shake as he straightens his tie. I need to make a statement, he says, voice rough, about the forgery, about everything. His eyes meet mine, filled with a mixture of shame and relief. Emma's telling the truth. I helped Robert create those documents. I watched him build this whole scheme, and I did nothing to stop it. Sophie steps forward next, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. I have testimony as well, Your Honor. Dates, times, conversations I witnessed. The threats made against Emma when she refused to comply. The room erupts in chaos as Detective Hayes moves forward, officially placing Dad under arrest. The charges ring out clear and damning. Money laundering, fraud, conspiracy, forgery. Each word, another nail in the coffin of his reputation. I watch as they lead him away, his shoulders finally slumping in defeat. The man who once towered over my world now seems smaller somehow. Behind me, I hear the rapid-fire clicks of camera shutters, documenting every moment of this public reckoning. The judge calls for order, but I barely hear him. My mind is already racing ahead to what comes next. The questions that will need answering. The legacy that will need rebuilding. Grandfather's words echo in my memory. Promise me you'll protect it, Emma. The house, the legacy, all of it. I did, Grandfather. But standing here in the aftermath, watching the family I knew crumble and reshape itself, I can't help but wonder, what will rise from these ashes? The house is safe, the truth is out, but the real work, the work of healing, of rebuilding, that's only just beginning. Dawn spills through the restored stained glass windows, painting the foyer in fragments of amber and sapphire. I run my fingers along the freshly polished banister, breathing in the scent of lemon oil and history. The grandfather clock in the corner, the one that marked so many Carter family moments, ticks steadily, a heartbeat restored. Miss Carter? Jorge, the restoration supervisor, approaches with a tablet in hand. The last of the historical photographs have been mounted in the East Wing gallery. I follow him down the hallway, where dozens of black and white photos now line the walls in gleaming frames. There's Grandfather at 20, standing proud in his army uniform. Another shows him breaking ground on his first development project, the one that launched the family business legitimately, before Dad corrupted it. My throat tightens as I spot a photo I'd almost forgotten. Grandfather and me in his study, heads bent over his collection of rare first editions. I was 12 then, oblivious to the storm brewing in our family. The archival glass will protect them from UV damage, Jorge explains, but his voice fades into background noise as memory washes over me. 3 months ago, I stood in this same spot, watching federal agents escort Dad out in handcuffs. His face had been a mask of fury and disbelief, the expression of a man who never imagined his schemes would unravel. The evidence in Grandfather's journal had been irrefutable, each detailed entry revealing another layer of Dad's money laundering operation. The memory dissolves as Olivia's heels click against the hardwood floor. Everything's official, she announces, waving a stack of documents. The title's clear and the preservation trust is ironclad. No one can ever force a sale of this property again. Thank you. The words feel inadequate for everything my attorney has done, but she waves off my gratitude with a warm smile. Sophie appears in the doorway, a box of old photographs in her arms. Found these in the attic. Thought they might fit the gallery. My cousin, no, my friend now, sets the box down carefully. It's amazing in here, Emma. Uncle Frank would be proud. The three of us move to the living room, where morning light streams through newly restored windows. The antique furniture, each piece chosen by Grandfather over decades, gleams with fresh polish. On the mantel, his collection of vintage fountain pens catches the light. I'd found them tucked away in his study, along with the journal that changed everything. Hard to believe this was the same house, Sophie muses, sinking into a leather armchair. Remember how dark it felt during the will reading? Now it's like it can breathe again. I finish, understanding exactly what she means. Olivia spreads the trust documents on the coffee table. The community outreach program is ready to launch whenever you are. 3 local families have already applied for the educational grants. My chest swells with something that feels like purpose. The house will never again be a fortress of secrets and lies. Instead, it's becoming what Grandfather always envisioned, a place of learning, growth, and second chances. Through the bay window, I watch volunteers preparing the garden for tomorrow's community gathering. They're planting wildflowers in beds where nothing grew for years, the colors a riot of purple, yellow, and white against rich soil. One bed has been reserved for the rose bushes Grandfather loved, the ones Dad ordered removed years ago. They'll bloom again next spring. The grandfather clock chimes 10, its sound resonating through rooms no longer choked with tension and deceit. Each note feels like confirmation, like Grandfather's voice saying, "This is what I protected it for. This is what I knew you could do." Asterisk. I move to the window, pressing my palm against the cool glass. The morning sun illuminates every corner of the property, from the restored Victorian greenhouse to the winding gravel paths. No more shadows, no more secrets, just light, possibility, and the steady foundation of truth that Grandfather helped me build. "Ready for tomorrow?" Sophie asks, joining me at the window. I nod, watching a monarch butterfly drift through the garden. "Ready for everything that comes next."